So I will introduce you people to RESTful web services. Okay, so is anyone okay? Can anyone define actually or tell me what a RESTful web service is exactly? What are RESTful web services? Yes. Any idea about RESTful web services? How it is different from SOAP-based web services? How it is different from SOAP-based web services? So I guess you people know SOAP-based web services, right? Yeah. So we have gone through them so far. Now let's see what are RESTful web services. Okay. Yes. Here basically RESTful web services are based on HTTP protocol. Okay. The main base for the RESTful web services is HTTP protocol. So we'll be using HTTP protocol widely in RESTful web services. The fundamental, the basic, you know, uh, the base for the RESTful web services, I can say, the HTTP protocol itself. Okay. Yes. So, and yes, all of you here, I hope you people are good with RESTful web service, sorry, HTTP. I'm going to give you people a definition for RESTful web services. Let's see. What is a RESTful web service? So REST, you know what it stands for? Actually, I should do this. REST. REST, what it stands for? REST stands for Representational State Transfer. REST stands for Representational State Transfer. Representational State Transfer. That is what the full form of REST is. You'll find that REST is based on some concepts. Yes. Like, yeah, basically you'll find that it is an architectural style which we use here in REST. I can say that it defines set of architectural principles by which you can design web services, focus on a system, focus on systems, resources, including how resource states the address and transferred or HTTP by a wide range of clients written in different languages. Sorry. You will find that here in RESTful web services, the term resource is used a lot. Yes, resource. You can say that RESTful web services, the term resource is used a lot. Okay, it's resource. You know, everything or everything here in the RESTful web services is considered as a resource. We call it as a resource here. Resource. An object, a method, everything. If you consider an object, yes, it is a resource. A method, it is a resource. And we'll be addressing them using URLs. Yes. Okay. Yes. We'll be identifying them and we'll be, yes, using the URLs for them. We'll be using the URLs. You know, here a resource can be accessed using standard HTTP methods. A resource, you know, it may represent some data, okay, as I said, or can represent some process here, okay. It can represent some data or it can represent some process, yes. And you know, every resource will have a URL, an address. Every resource will have a URL or an address associated with it. Okay, yes. You'll find that for a resource will have an address. Yes. And using the address, that URL, you'll be accessing that resource. Okay, yes. And a resource, you know, is accessed using set of HTTP methods. You know, in the HTTP, in this RESTful web services, you'll find that 4 HTTP methods play a key role. What are they? Get, post, put, okay, yes. So these are the methods. You find that we'll be using them widely. Yes. So each method, it represents an operation which we can perform on the resource. Okay. Yes. If you want to perform an operation, the resource, okay, adding a resource or updating a resource, modifying a resource, deleting a resource. Say for that, we'll be using this HTTP methods. Yes. And as I said, everything in the RESTful web services is represented using is represented as a resource. Yes, we call it as a resource. Yes, every object, everything in the RESTful web service is considered as a resource itself. Yes. Okay, fine. To access those resources, we use this standard HTTP protocol. Yes. Here HTTP protocol is easy to use. Okay. Yes. This protocol already got a very good support. We got infrastructure here for this HTTP protocol, right? Yes. Your web or internet is completely based on HTTP protocol. That means the web services which we develop using RESTful, yes, definitely they can be accessed through this protocol, right? Yes. That means they will be available all over the place. Wherever you want to use it, you can do that. Yes. See here, that is what the definition says. Basically, it's an architectural style which will say, says, here, the web services that focuses on system resources, including how a resource states are addressed. Every resource will have state, okay, which are represented by HTTP methods, so that, and you'll have URLs for that. Yes, and you'll have URLs for that. Yes. And you see, they are transferred over HTTP by wide range of clients. Yes. You see, here, um, you'll find that we got APIs which we can use to access any RESTful web service using the HTTP. Yes, need not be a browser always. It need not be a browser. You'll find that many different languages are providing this HTTP protocol, providing the access. They're providing the API which we can use to access the RESTful web services through this HTTP protocol. Yeah. So you know what here, before I move any further, I would like to show you few examples here. Okay? Yes, I'd like to show you few examples, or at least one example, so that you can understand how this RESTful web services work. Yes, so that you can understand how this RESTful web services work. Just a second, please. Okay, so we'll try to understand better what is this RESTful web service through an example. Okay, yes, and here, let me tell you one thing. In Java, you got the support for developing the RESTful web services. Okay, yes. So how we can develop the RESTful web services in Java? Yes. If you want to develop a RESTful web service in Java, then you can use the API called as JAX RS. Okay, JAX RS. Yeah. So using this API, you'll be able to develop RESTful web service. Okay, yes, you can do that. Yes. So we got a RESTful web application, RESTful application here. Let's see how it looks like. You know what? As I said, in RESTful web services, you'll find that every object, every method, it is represented as a resource. Okay? Yes, and you'll have a URL associated to it. You'll have an address for that, I can say. Okay? You'll have an address or URL associated to it. Yeah. So, for suppose if you consider this, it's a service, I can say. Okay? A resource, RESTful web service resource. Here it is providing some data here. Okay, whenever you call the service method, what is it? Product XML. In this method, actually, you'll find that you got some code. What is it? What it is doing basically, it is returning a product object here. So whenever we try to access this method, so what it does, it returns a product object. Yes. But okay, basically, let's say it is a kind of search functionality which is provided here. So, but we are not searching for anything, but we can do that. We can customize it, we can implement it such a way that it provides search functionality. Just assume that here is providing the search functionality. Okay? Just assume that it is providing the search functionality here. So you see here, this web service, I can say that here, this is a RESTful web service resource, this method which you're looking at. Okay, yes. So, this method has the capability to to take a request, okay, which is placed using HTTP protocol. Okay, and that too, that method HTTP request which is placed should be GET method. Okay, the HTTP method GET should be used to place a request for this method. If anyone wants to access this data, product details which are written by this method, okay, so they have to place a HTTP request. They have to place a HTTP request here. Okay, yes. So that means HTTP is now platform independent, right? It is sorry. Sorry. HTTP is platform independent and language independent. That is what the web services provide, right? So they provide the functionalities which we can access them across the platforms. They're language independent, they're platform independent. The same concept here is brought forwarded. So we will find the same concept here also. You'll find that RESTful web service resources are language independent and platform independent. You see, for that we'll be using HTTP protocol. Okay, we're using HTTP protocol here. Yes, for that purpose. So you'll find that here, if you want to access this resource, sorry, this method, okay, so it won't be a normal Java method call. So you see, any application, okay, which is developed in any language, any application, no matter it is developed in which language, which platform, will be able to access this, resource. How? Through the HTTP protocol. So how it can call this method? Yes, how it can call this method? Yes, you see, it can call this method using the URL. As I said, you see here, this resource is identified by URL. What is the URL? Product get. These annotations are all related to web service, RESTful web services. We'll discuss about that. They're all in JAX RS API. So you see, this RESTful web service resource, okay, is identified by this URL. By this URL. What is the URL here? Product get. So, and as I said, here always we can access these resources to HTTP methods. Okay, yes, you can access these resources through HTTP methods here. Okay, yes. Now, if you want to access this resource, you have to use HTTP method. Yes. So which HTTP method are we supposed to use? Here in this case, we are supposed to use GET. See, these are notated with GET. And you know what? Here, this method now, it is executing under a controlled environment. It is executing under a controlled environment, I can say. You know what? This method returns a product object, right? Yes. And you will find that the data which is returned by this method, it is not sent as it is to the client who's placing a request for this method. Then how the data will be sent? You see, this line explains that. So you see on top of this method, see this produces annotation is used. Produces what data? It produces XML, application XML data. It produces XML data. Okay, yes. It means whatever the data which this method returns, whatever the data this method returns. Okay, so the data is actually converted to, the data is converted to XML and it is sent back to the client. Okay, yes. Okay, fine. Now let's try to access this resource. Okay, let's see how to access this resource. As I said, okay, you can access it using many different clients. As of now, let's say I don't want to write any code here, okay, to access this resource, but in that case you can use browser itself. Browser supports HTTP protocol. It's based on HTTP protocol, right? And actually the request which you are trying to place is based on HTTP method GET. That means you can easily place a request, okay, through the browser for this resource. Because it is HTTP method GET request, there won't be any problem. Yes. Okay, the request can be easily placed. Yeah. So fine. So let's try to do that. Yes. I'll try to deploy this application in the server. We have to dig into details. There are many things which you need to know. But before that, we're just trying to give you a brief overview of how this works here. Yeah. Okay. You know, here the resource is product debt, right? I want to access that method, okay, whose resources, whose address is, whose URL is product debt. Okay, that method URL is product debt. So how do we access that? Uh, you know, first of all, you have to understand that that method, okay, the class in which that method is defined, that resource, a web services resource class, it belongs to a particular application. So to which application it belongs to? Yes. So it belongs to the application whose name is RS-Proj. And basically you'll find that all the RESTful web services, okay, RESTful web service applications are web applications itself. Okay, yes. All the RESTful web service applications are web applications itself. You see here, we got this project called as RS-Proj. In that RS-Proj itself, we have this service. Now, if I want to access that resource, okay, whose URL is product debt, okay, yes. So how do I do that? Yes, let's see. prod data. Sorry. Now using this URL, we'll try to call this method. Which method? Product XML. Prod data. Yes. So now we'll place a request for this URL. So when you do this, here what happens, that method will be invoked. Which method? Product. Let's see. Product XML. Sorry. This method, product XML, will be invoked here. Yes. You know what? Here, that method, when it is invoked, it returns a product object with some data in it. It returns a product object with some data in it. Okay? Yes. So you'll find that here, this data which is written by that method is transformed into XML. Okay? It's transformed into XML data. And you see, it is written back to the client here. Yes. When it comes to the client side, see the data is basically XML data itself. Yeah. You see, yes, obviously, you can understand now that we are trying to call a method using a URL HTTP. Sorry, we are trying to access that method using HTTP protocol, right? Yes. And for that method, you got a URL which we are using, right? It got an address. That method has got an HTTP support. You will find that it got an address which we can use to access or to call that method. Here, as of now, the client which we have used to access this RESTful Web Service resources, browser. Sorry. But it need not be a browser always. We got client APIs which we can use. Okay. For example, here, I'll show you. Yes, just check this code. Now this line, okay, these two lines. First of all, within this line, it is referring to that, this is a different application, a client application, okay, a standalone client. This is a standalone client which is trying to access that method. How it is trying to access that method or call that method? Yes, we see that what it does, first of all, it will use the URL here. It will use the URL. Yes. So, you see here, the URL is referring to that application, and then here later on we are appending few more details to that URL. You see prod det is a resource. Okay, yes, it should be prefixed with REST. And accept, this method, actually what it does, it indicates that the data which is written by that RESTful resource will be XML data itself. You see, yes, accept XML. And then here, you see, we want to read that XML data into a string. We want to read that XML data into a string here. Yes. That is what we are trying to do. And after fetching the data, you see what we are doing here. We are trying to print the data. Okay, we're trying to print these details. It's written here. Yes, trying to print the data. So basically, that XML data will be wrapped in a string object. Okay, don't worry. So I'll explain it in detail later on. As of now, let's try to understand that here. So basically, what you're doing is using this code, you're trying to call that the RESTful web service resource method. Okay, yes, using this URL itself, using the URL for that purpose. Yes, fine. Let's run this code. Let's see what happens. So you see, we got this XML data. Yes. You got this XML data here. Yes. So this is how it works. So now, just now you see that web service resource method. We are able to access it using a web browser, and also we have written a client application to access that web service resource, right? Yes, we are able to do that. Neither ways. Not only that, we see not only a Java client can access that resource, but even the other clients, okay, the .NET client or PHP client can do that. How they can do that? Because you see, we are using HTTP protocol here, right? So we are using HTTP protocol for this, and HTTP protocol again is platform independent and language independent. All you need is we need an API, a client API, which can help us to construct this kind of URLs and to place a HTTP request like this. All you need to understand is how to use the API to create a HTTP request, okay, to call that resource, to access that resource, and you see you get the response, right? Yes. How to use the response data, which is provided by this RESTful web service. That's it. Yeah. That is what you have to understand here. Yes. So, hope at least you got an overview of it, broad overview of it, right? Yes. Hope you will understand how this is working. At least not in detail, but yes, at least an overview. Now, can you people compare this SOAP-based web services with RESTful web services? Can you people compare the SOAP-based web services with RESTful web services? Can you people do that? Yes, try your best, no problem. Okay, yes, but I want you people to do that. Okay, it's important. If you can do this, it will be great. Okay, we'll try to understand what is the difference here. Okay, and so WSDL is used to develop a client application. Yes, always a WSDL document is needed to access a RESTful web service. Am I right? Sorry, to access a SOAP-based web service. You need a WSDL document. That is the first thing. That's right. SOAP-based web services. So yeah, you need a WSDL document. Next, here in RESTful we are using the URI to access the client. Sorry, to access the service, right? In order to access the service, we are using the URI. That's it. That is what is needed here actually. Yes. Fine. So What are the other differences? First thing is here you will have a WSDL document in SOAP-based web services. Now the WSDL document is gone here, so you don't see any WSDL document, right? Yeah. That is the first difference. Just a second, please. So what are the other differences? So, sorry. So here, which type of web services are easy to use or more easy to use? What do you people think? You'll find that, okay, RESTful web services will be little easy to use compared to SOAP-based web services. Why so? Because here you will find that, okay, we don't have to create this proxies and all, right? Yes, and you see here the in order to access this web services here, RESTful web services, you don't need a if you can understand HTTP, that is enough, right? Yes, to access this RESTful web services, if you can understand HTTP, that is enough. And you see, you don't need any additional infrastructure here for this. The existing web can be used for this purpose, right? The existing web can be used for this purpose. Yeah. That is another advantage here, right? So whereas in case of SOAP-based web services, you know how the client and server will communicate with each other. What they do basically a client and server, in order to interact with each other, they have to actually use SOAP messages for that, right? Yes, they have to use SOAP messages for that. Yeah. And the SOAP message again, it is wrapped in what? The SOAP message is wrapped in okay. A SOAP message will have SOAP envelope. The SOAP message will have SOAP envelope. Yes. And you will find that here this SOAP message, it actually in turn, it is wrapped in something else. What is it? It is wrapped in. How the SOAP messages are carried? HTTP request. Yes. SOAP messages are wrapped in HTTP request and response objects here. They are wrapped in HTTP request and response objects. That's right. Always you'll find that the SOAP messages are wrapped in HTTP request and response messages. Okay. Yes. So SOAP messages, you'll find that they carry by HTTP. Again, HTTP protocol will carry this SOAP request and response messages. Yes, fine. So, but here that is not the case, right? Yes, in case of HTTP, yes, we don't have any additional, messages again. Straight away, the request information is sent through to the server through this HTTP request itself, because basically we are trying to place HTTP request. That's all we are trying to do here. Yes, right? Yeah. So always we need HTTP to carry the SOAP messages. Always you need HTTP to carry the SOAP messages. But here, you see, we don't have any additional messages again done. Basically, the HTTP itself, the message itself is sent as HTTP using HTTP protocol itself. HTTP protocol itself is used. The messages are HTTP request and response messages itself. That's it directly. It's nothing else. Yeah. Okay, so hope you people got it. Fine. Now, before we move any further, we'll try to understand. There are many things which we have to consider, but before we move any further, let me tell you one thing. You'll find that here Java provides an API called as JAX-RS. Java provides an API called as JAX-RS to develop RESTful web services. Okay, so you can use JAX-RS to develop RESTful web services here. Yeah. Actually, JAX-RS is a specification. Okay, JAX-RS is a specification. What does that mean? JAX-RS is a specification here. What does it mean? Yes, it doesn't provide any implementations here. JAX-RS won't provide any implementations. You'll find that here the implementations are actually provided by third-party people. Yes, the people who provide implementations here. So you'll find that here for the JAX-RS, you got two implementations. Okay, yes, JAX-RS has got sorry two implementations here. Okay, yeah. So one of the implementations is provided by Jersey. Yes. Jersey. And the other implementation is provided by REST. So these are the two implementations which you'll find. Now, the relationship between this Jersey and the JAX RS, you can say that it is similar. I'm just trying to relate it. It is similar to the relationship which exists between the JDBC API and the JDBC drivers. You people know JDBC API, right? Yes. So the JDBC API here, uh, who provide the implementations for the JDBC API? JDBC drivers. So if you want to use JDBC API, then definitely you need JDBC drivers because implementation is provided by the JDBC drivers. So if you don't have drivers, JDBC is of no use, right? Yes, because it contains interfaces which are blank. That's it. Yeah. So Jersey is one of the implementation. Industries is another implementation here. Let's now, if you want to work with, these two, with sorry, JAX RS, then you have to obtain those implementations, at least one of them. I'll use Jersey actually. Okay, Jersey, JAX RS. Yeah. So Jersey provides, I can say that it's a framework. Jersey is a framework. Okay. Yes. RESTful Web Services framework, which provides the implementation. Okay. It provides the implementation for RESTful Web Services. JAX RS API. I'm sorry. It provides the implementation for the JAX RS API. Apart from that, it provides a platform or environment which is needed to run the RESTful web services. Okay, yes, I'll show you. Here, I want you people to study this slide. So, in order to simplify development of RESTful web services and their clients in Java, a standard and portable JAX RS API has been designed. Okay, it's standard API. Jersey, the next line you see, says Jersey RESTful web RESTful web services framework. Okay, it's a framework. It's a framework and is open source. It's open source production quality framework for developing RESTful web services here in Java that provides support for JAX RS and serves as a JAX RS reference implementation. The last line here. It says actually this RESTful web services framework, you see, Jersey, it serves as a JAX RS reference implementation. Yes, it's an implementation. It provides the implementation for JAX RS here. That's what it means. Okay, yes. How you people got it. It's a very important. So I want you people to make a note of this. regarding the jersey. All of you, if you write it once, then you can remember it forever. Yes, that is what I believe. Yes. So hope you people have made a note of it. So I'll give you this link from where you have to download the library. Here, basically, please quickly copy paste that link somewhere. Quickly copy paste that link somewhere. First of all, yes. So here you'll find that in that this is the official site for for the jersey. Okay. Yes. So you can download the libraries from this official site, from this jersey site. Okay. So why do we need this libraries? Because here, if you want to use JAX RS, okay, JAX RS is an API for developing the RESTful web services. So if you want to use JAX RS to develop the RESTful web services, then we need this API because it provides the implementations. Because this API itself will provide the implementations for the JAX RS. Okay, not only just implementations, but it is more than that. You will find that it is more than that. It's very important. Okay, yes, fine. So we'll see how to develop this RESTful web services using this JAX RS. Okay, yes, in the next class we'll be doing it. So when is the next class for us? Can someone tell me? So I just yes, I did remember, but I want to just listen from you people. So when is the next class? Hope you people can remember. Right? It is on Saturday morning, right? Yes. So you people for the for Central Time people, I believe it is 8, and for Eastern Time people it is 9 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay? Yeah. Yes. Okay, you can check that in schedule.